This is the Disney Dude with some very important D23 announcements. So for my Patreon members, I did this live for them. This will be the next episode of More Disney. I know I usually do it in the parks and such, but with the D23 announcements and such, I knew that this was going to be a longer video, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this in the parks because it's going to take way too long, and that's why I'm doing it at home. I didn't have Monday's news because of the announcements. I did the news yesterday, but I will have the news later tonight, so look for that later tonight. But as promised, the More Disney, the next episode of More Disney is now going to be out for everybody. This will be on my blogging channel. So let's get into the D23 announcements that were announced. These aren't going to be in like a specific order or anything. I'm just going to name them off and then one by one, and then I'm going to give you what I think of each announcement and such. So but let's get into it. So this year's D23 was huge. It was huge. It was a lot of park announcements and such. We now know opening time frames or different rides that's going to be opening here at Walt Disney World. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first announcement is at Animal Kingdom, the Indiana Jones ride that's going in the Tropical Americas, that's replacing Dinosaur, that now has a name. It's going to be called Indiana Jones and the Myth of the Jade Serpent. This is still on track to open next year, sometime in 2027. We don't know. What Disney has shared, though, as well, is that Harrison Ford will return as Indiana Jones. This is fantastic. This is great news. His likeness is going to be used for the Indiana Jones animatronics that will be in the ride. Now, I'm going to assume that there's going to be a pre-show because Dinosaur utilized a pre-show before you boarded your Jeep. So I'm going to assume that there's still going to be a pre-show to this ride. But you know, I'm excited. I am excited for this ride. Looking forward to having Indiana Jones or having Harrison Ford back as Indiana Jones is spectacular. Cannot wait for this attraction. We got a preview of the ride at D23. We got a preview of the audio animatronic of one of the snakes in the ride, one of the jade serpents. It looks fantastic. It looks gorgeous. Huge audio animatronic. Again, I'm hoping for the best. I can't wait for this ride to open. It's going to be, I'm glad that we're not doing what Disneyland has. It's going to be, they're going to be two separate rides, which is great. Look, as much as I'm excited for this ride, I'm going to tell you that Disney, you better not get rid of the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. You better not do that, because otherwise I'm going to be very, very angry with you. So Disney, please do not get rid of the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Please don't do that. Okay? You know, first of all, it's a great show. Second of all, I know all of those cast members, so losing them would be devastating. It would be devastating to lose all of those cast members. So again, I no plans as of yet to, get rid of this show. Again, just, but, I'm excited for this ride. I am really excited for this ride. When they first announced that Indiana Jones was going to be replacing Dinosaur, I was like, really? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Putting Indiana Jones in Animal Kingdom, that doesn't make any sense. Okay? Indiana Jones doesn't like animals. It's not an animal friendly story. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But then Disney came out with the announcement that the first announcement that we got was that Indiana Jones would be chasing a mythical creature, which actually makes sense in Animal Kingdom. I know that it doesn't, but it does make sense, because the original park was going to be called Beastly Kingdom, and it was going to be split into two different parts. On one half of the park, you would have, animals that exist in real life, elephants, zebras, giraffes, all of that. The other half of the park was dedicated to creatures that don't exist, or maybe existed, long before man walked the earth. So that's why you had rides. You had rides like Dinosaur. That's why you have Expedition Everest with the Yeti. More on that in a few minutes. Or even Avatar. That, Avatar, fits into the Animal Kingdom aesthetic as well. So, it just fits into a little bit different, because Pandora, the world of Avatar, more focused on conservation, which is what Animal Kingdom stands for as well. But Animal Kingdom is also dedicated to animals that either don't exist in our life or existed a very long time ago before man walked the earth. So that's why you had rides like Dinosaur, why you have Expedition Everest, why you have Pandora, the world of Avatar. Creatures that either don't exist or did exist at one time. So the myth of the Jade Serpent, that's, again, creatures that, mythical creatures that don't, that don't exist in this lifetime anymore, or at one point did, way before man even walked the earth. So, again, I'm looking forward to this ride. It's going to use the same ride technology. The ride's not changing. It's just getting, reskinned to Indiana Jones. But I think it would be great. At this point, at the point when Indiana Jones would open, we would have 3 Indiana Jones attractions. You have Disneyland's Indiana Jones ride. You would have, Indiana Jones and the myth of the Jade Serpent here. Oh, excuse me. And then you would have Indiana Jones and the epics and the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular also here as well at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But let me know what you feel, what you think. I am excited for this ride. Really excited for this ride. The fact that they're bringing that Disney is bringing in Harrison Ford is fantastic among itself as well. But just let me know how you feel. But I am looking forward to Indiana Jones and the Myth of the Jade Statue in the Myth of the Jade Serpent coming sometime in 2027. All right. We also know that the main Cars attraction at the Magic Kingdom now has a name. So the main attraction for the Cars themed area is going to be called Ridge Run Rally, which is an off-road adventure. And I think, and this announcement as well, which is great. This ride, which is an outside ride, will operate in the rain. I think that's fantastic. That is great. Again, because Magic Kingdom is, the most visited tourist destination in the world. You need things that are that have capacity, and this is this is going to be great. This is going to be great, and not only a new ride, but a ride that's going to operate in the rain, which is fantastic. Now, that doesn't mean that it will close for lightning, but for rain, it will run, which I think is absolutely the right choice to go. It's the right decision. I cannot wait for this Cars themed area to open. I know people want to make they got rid of the Rivers of America and blah, 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 blah. I get it. I understand. Look, I feel the same way about Monstropolis replacing Grand Avenue. Okay? I feel the same way. I really, really do. I feel your pain. Okay? But, but let's be honest. Okay? Because I want to be honest. Okay? The Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island didn't speak to people. Okay? It just didn't speak to people. It's a totally different. It's a totally different. It's a totally different beast than replacing Muppet Vision 3D. Okay? Everybody in the world knows the Muppets. Okay? Not everybody in the world knows who Tom Sawyer is, or who Huckleberry Finn was, or the Rivers of America, or anything like that. Okay? Unless, getting rid of both of them obviously is devastating, but, getting rid of the Rivers of America, I don't know. I mean, now, Disney has said that there's going to be a lot of homages to the Rivers of America. There's going to be a water feature, the fun map, which is kind of like, concept art in a way. If you look at that fun map, there's a ton of references to Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America. It looks gorgeous. It looks beautiful. But again, I'm excited for this ride. I'm excited for this ride. I'm looking forward to this land. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be really well executed. But again, I'm I'm going to say this again because, I don't want to say it every single time I'm doing one of these stories, but, I'm going to say this one more time. If anybody wants to comment on this, let me know what you like or dislike about any of these announcements. I'm willing to have a conversation. with you. But I'm not going to have conversations with people that's like, they, Disney got rid of the rivers of America and they've, and blah, 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 and want to make it political and everything. That I'm not doing. That I am not doing. So forget it. Okay. So if that's what you're going to do in the comments, I'm deleting your comments and I'm not having a discussion with you. Okay. Because at that point, you're not going to, at that point, there's no point in having a reasonable conversation with you because all you're going to want to do is argue. All right. All right. We now have more information with the reimagining of Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. So we now know that Jamie Lee Curtis and Bryan Cranston will be starring in the reimagined Carousel of Progress. We don't know anybody else that's going to be in this attraction. We only know that Jamie Lee Curtis will be voicing the mother, and Bryan Cranston will be voicing the father. We don't have anyone else. Disney didn't share who else would be in the attraction, but Disney has also shifted the timeline for the Carousel of Progress. So the opening after, so we're starting in the 1960s. We are starting in the 1960s. We are starting with Walt Disney. Walt Disney will be introducing the Carousel of Progress, and then when we move, the first scene will be the 1980s. So the 1980s has been revealed, so that's our first decade. What's coming after that, we don't really know. It'll probably be like 1980s, and then 2000, maybe the 90s, but probably not. Probably the 80s, the 2000s, and then, but we'll just have to see. But look, I am very cautiously optimistic about this attraction. Look, you can't get any better than Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. You just can't. The voice cast made that attraction. Okay, Gene Shepard, Mel Blanc, B.J. Ward, Rex Allen, they made that attraction. Those folks made that attraction. And unfortunately, most of them are no longer with us. Obviously Disney had to recast them, but it's going to make me sad. It makes me sad. On the other hand, I understand, but it's going to take us a little while to get used to this. We're going to go in and we're going to be like, we're going to hear the mother and father talk. We're going to be like, well, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. So it's going to take us a little bit to get, used to the, it's going to take a little bit getting used to the new voices because we've heard, Gene Shepard and, all the others for so long that we're just used to it. We're used to them. And so, having, new voice actors in it, it's going to be like, well, that sounds weird, but it's going to take us a while to get used to. Once we get used to it, then we'll, then it'll be fine. But, it's just for a while, it's going to be like, that doesn't sound right. So, but we'll see. I'm going to report on something here because I read a comment online. Someone said that Disney is just using old, tired actors to replace these voices, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. that doesn't make any sense. Are you feeling okay? Okay, so, saying that Disney is just using old voice actors or old actors to replace, be in the carousel of progress. I'm like, that makes no sense. That doesn't make any sense. So I was very put off by that. I'm like, are you okay? Because that doesn't make sense. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. But whatever. That just kind of put me off. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But I'm looking forward. Now, look, I could go into this attraction when it reopens, and it could not be any good, and I would be decimating Disney. I would be getting in front of this camera, and I'd be yelling. I'd be like, look, why did you ruin this attraction? Okay? But so many people have already doomed this attraction. And it's like, that's not fair. That's not fair. Let's wait for Disney to deliver the product, the product. And if it's bad, we'll go after them. And if it's good, then we'll say it's good. Now, there's going to be things that we don't like, because that's just, that's the fun part of being us is, we get to, we dissect these things and we get into it and everything. So there's going to be things that we like, and there's going to be things that we don't like. So, but I always like to keep an open mind. Look, now this is a reimagining. It's not like, Disney ripping out the Great Movie Ride and replacing it with an abomination of a ride. Look, I'm going to be honest. Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway is garbage. It's garbage. It does not belong in that space. Does not belong in that space. All right? So this is a little bit different, but, when Disney was going to replace, the Great Movie Ride and put in Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a little cautiously optimistic. Maybe they'll do a good job with this. And, I'm going to hold off judgment until I ride this. And I went on it and I was like, no. What did you do? This is terrible. Why did you replace the Great Movie Ride with this garbage? All right. So maybe we'll feel that way with this version of the Carousel of Progress, but I don't know. But we need to wait until they deliver the product, and if it's bad, then we'll go after them, okay? But I'm not throwing Disney to the wolves right now. But they know that they can't screw this attraction up. They know that. The bar is set really, really high with this attraction, so they can't screw this up. There's no room for error. All right, now we'll get on to the next announcement. This one caught us off guard. We didn't really expect this one, but Disney has announced that they are finally, after all these years, after all these decades, that Disney is finally going to fix the Expedition Everest Yeti. That's fantastic. That is great. Now look, that attraction's going to have to go down for a while. It's going to have to go down for a while. It's gonna cost a lot of money, because they're going to have to. I would assume that they're going to have to, open up the top of the mountain, and they're going to have to, fix things and everything. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. Now, Disney hasn't shared an opening timeline for this, when Expedition Everest is going to go down, but I can probably honestly tell you that it's probably going to be safe to assume that they're going to wait until Tropical Americas opens. They're going to wait until the Tropical Americas opens, and at least we'll have the Encanto ride and Indiana Jones and the Carousel. I think they're going to wait. They're going to wait until they open that land. And then they're going to be like, okay, now we have more capacity in this park, so now we can focus on Expedition Everest. So that's probably a safe bet, is they're going to wait until the Tropical Americas opens, but they may not wait. They may just, go full steam into this. But that wouldn't make any sense. To me, that wouldn't make any sense. Wait until, because Animal Kingdom's already down a lot of capacity right now. So you take down Expedition Everest, it would be brutal. That park would be brutal without Expedition Everest. So I have to think that they're just going to wait until Tropical Americas gets done, and then once all that's completed, then they'll focus their attention on Expedition Everest and fixing the Yeti. We also have another announcement. So before COVID happened, Disney announced that they were going to finally update Spaceship Earth. They were going to finally update Spaceship Earth, and we were like, yes, thank you, finally, you're updating this attraction. And then unfortunately COVID happened and the plans were shelved, and we were like, oh no, okay, now we have to continue living with this Spaceship Earth, this bad version of Spaceship Earth. Look, now, I like Spaceship Earth very much. I really do. But it's bad. It's time. It's time. Having a jib-jab video at the end is not working. But Disney has announced that they are reimagining Spaceship Earth. This version is going to be all about human connection. So that's great. That's great. Spend money, get this attraction, fixed up, make it look better, because, black curtains it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, and that descent is terrible. And right before you go into the jib-jab video. So I hope that they, fix things and lighten them up and such. I'm interested to see who the new narrator would be. Look, now I love Judi Dench. I love her. I love her as an actress and everything, but I think it's time. It is time to get a new narrator in Spaceship Earth. Now look, we're not going back to the days of Jeremy Irons, okay? Because the Jeremy Irons version of the attraction, I'm told, was spectacular. So we're not going back to that, unfortunately. Much as I would love to have Jeremy Irons back, I don't think that that's possible. Disney's probably going to get somebody new to do this. They haven't said who yet, but I thank you, Disney, for finally doing something with Spaceship Earth. One of the best rides, one of the most optimistic rides. It definitely needs to be updated. And it's, I'll tell you, it's rough. It is rough. That they did a refurbishment on Spaceship Earth not too long ago, and I thought, oh, that's great. They're going to fix the track, because I knew we weren't getting a full reimagining. So I was like, oh, good. They're going to fix the track. It's going to be smooth. They're going to, freshen up the audio animatronics and everything. They refreshed the audio animatronics. The track, they did nothing. They did nothing to that track. It is still like, okay, it's like rocking and rolling on the track. So, I'm hoping that with this big refurb that Disney will replace that track because it's rough. That ride is rough. It is, oof, it is. I'm glad that they refreshed the audio animatronics and everything. So that's great. But my hope would be that they would replace the track. They would totally do a complete track replacement because that track is rough. It is rough. So many things are rough in that attraction. The lighting, kind of fix the lighting, but the lighting, the track, get rid of those god-awful black curtains, get rid of the jib-jab video. And if you want to update some things, if you want to update the very last scene, have at it, okay? But my wish list would be replace the track, because the track is bad, okay? Get rid of those black curtains, because those are awful, and get rid of that jib-jab video at the end. Those are my 3 things that I want. Those are the 3. That's my wish list for this Spaceship Earth reimagining. If you do those, I'm happy. I am happy. All right, the new Tropical America's Carousel has been revealed. The name has been revealed with the characters as well. It's going to be called El Carrusel of Animalitos. And the animals that will be... we already knew that Kevin was going to be one of the animals because Disney showed us that. But here is a full list of the animals that will be... that you will ride. It's Parse the leopard from Encanto, Chispy the this I don't know how to say. Capybara, capybara. From Encanto. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry. Scuttle from The Little Mermaid, Miko from Pocahontas, Nigel from Finding Nemo, the Great Prince of the Forest from Bambi. So let me make that clear. So the Great Prince of the Forest is so at the end of Bambi becomes the Great Prince of the Forest. At the beginning of the movie, the Great Prince of the Forest is Bambi's father. Okay, so Bambi's father. Okay, so that's who the Great Prince of the Forest is. Kevin from Up, which we already knew that. Pua from Moana, Squirt from Finding Nemo, Simba from The Lion King, Timon, also from The Lion King, Pascal from Tangled, Hey from Moana, Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, Heimlich from A Bug's Life, which is great. Look, taking away a bug's, it's tough to be a bug. And then, having that reference in this carousel, that's great. That is fantastic. Pumbaa, also from The Lion King. Bambi. Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove. Now, how cool is that? How cool is that? The Emperor's New Groove finally getting some love. And Cusco is in his llama form. It's not the human form, it's his llama form. So that's fantastic. Look, that's great. Giving these lesser known Disney animated movies some love, that is fantastic. Because I think there's a small group of us that love The Emperor's New Groove. It's, The Emperor's New Groove was not one of those big box office successes, so doesn't get celebrated too much in the parks, but whenever they do stuff like that, that's fantastic. Owl from Winnie the Pooh. Kaa from the Jungle Book. Again, Jungle Book getting some love, which is great. And then Thumper from Bambi. So those are all those are all of the of what's been released. Those are the animals that have been revealed. But that's great. A lot of deep cuts in there, which is fantastic. Walt Disney World, they usually don't do a lot of like rare, Emperor's New Groove type, of characters. They're only focused on the new. So having, a decent mix of classic and modern Disney, I think that's fantastic, because we don't usually get a lot of that. So having the classic Disney mixed with the new Disney is fantastic. That's great. And we also have a name for the new Encanto ride that's coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Also, the full movie cast is returning. So everybody from the movie is returning to voice the characters in this attraction, which is great. Again, it keeps the continuity going. It just makes it feel real. You know what I'm saying? It makes it feel real when they have the same person voicing the character. It grounds it, and it just keeps it alive, instead of getting a sound alike. This ride will be called Antonio's Fiesta de Encanto. Disney has revealed to us that there were rumors. There were rumors going around that this ride would be trackless. That this ride would be a trackless ride. That's been going on forever. Disney has finally laid that to rest. This ride will have a track. It will not be trackless, and it's going to take place on multiple levels. So probably go up and then down and then back up and then sideways down. So multiple levels. And here's another important thing. There is no height requirement. No height requirement. That's great. So if not everybody can ride Indiana Jones and the myth of the Jade Serpent, okay? Everybody can ride Fiesta de Encanto, which is fantastic. That's the right way to go. Absolutely the right way to go. So that's great. I'm looking forward to that too. Again, no height requirement. Fantastic. That's great. Because, you also need things at Animal Kingdom that everybody can do. Because not everybody can do Indiana Jones. Not everybody can do Flight of Passage. Not everybody can do the Safari. So, or Kali River Rapids, or Expedition Everest for that matter. So having a ride that everybody can do, that's fantastic. That is great. All right. We now know what the second attraction in the Cars themed area will be. This attraction will be called Miss Fritters, which Disney has also revealed that this this ride will have an audio animatronic of Miss Fritter. Now look, I'm not really thrilled about this attraction. Now, I understand. You need to build things for capacity, so I totally get it. But it's just, it's going to be a flat spinner ride. And it's like, oh, okay, but, I understand you need to build things for capacity, because not everybody's going to be able to ride the Cars Ridge Run Rally, or whatever it's called. So you need an attraction that everybody can do. We don't know if this ride will operate in the rain or not. Disney didn't say, but just have to see. We don't know if it's going to be like Alien Swirling Saucers, where there's a canopy overhead protecting guests from the elements. We don't know, but it's, when it was announced that it was a flat spinner ride, I'm like, oh, okay, but having an audio animatronic, that actually kind of bumps it up for me. I'm like, okay, not my favorite thing, but having an audio animatronic, that's fantastic. That is great. Okay? That is absolutely fantastic. So taking just a plain, like a plain splat, a flat spinner ride, like Dumbo or the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, or rides like that, or Alien Swirling Saucers, having it, having a flat ride like that, and then with an audio animatronic, I'm like, okay, that bumps it up a little bit. Not my favorite thing, but it bumps it up a little bit. It bumps up my excitement a little bit. All right, Disney has finally announced what is replacing Muppet Vision 3D in that theater. So so it's going to be a show. It's a live, as far as we know, a live stage show called Welcome to Monstropolis. This is replacing Muppet Vision 3D. It's going to have an original song by Randy Newman. And also, we already knew this was happening, but Disney just, kind of confirmed it to us that this land will open in phases, which, I'm not too thrilled about, but phase one will be the show. Phase 1 will be Welcome to Monstropolis. Probably, either the dining venues or what, but that will be phase 1. Phase 2, at a later date, will be the door coaster, which, again, I was like, oh, phases, I don't know. That's not great, because then that means I have to come back and, but... I especially understand that, because at Hollywood Studios, you need that capacity. You definitely need that capacity. So having it open in phases at Hollywood Studios, I understand. Again, not my favorite thing, but it's understandable why, it's understandable at Hollywood Studios, because Hollywood Studios only has 9 rides in that park. Soon to be 10 with the door coaster, but there's only nine rides in that park. The rest are shows. So I understand you need things for capacity. So having this show, that will definitely help capacity as well. Hopefully it'll pass the time before the door coaster opens. But I'm rooting for this show. I am really rooting for this show. Look, Disney took away probably one of the greatest theme park attractions ever built. They took away Muppet Vision 3D. Okay? You cannot get any better than that. So I'm really hoping that this show is I hope it's as good as Muppet Vision 3D. I hope it's on that same level. I is it going to be better than Muppet Vision 3D? I don't know because look, Muppet Vision 3D was a very, set a very high standard. It was a very high standard. So I don't think that. Look, I would love to be proved wrong with this show. It might be better than Muppet Vision 3D, but it's a tall order. It's a tall order. So Disney, if you're listening, please make this show great. Please don't make me feel terrible by walking into that building every time to go see this show. Okay? Because I don't want to feel that again. I've felt that with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and I don't want to feel that again. I really, really don't. So please don't make me feel that way again. All right. So please make a show that's going to be as good as Muppet Vision 3D, because if I go in there and that show is garbage, that's going to kill me even more. That's just going to kill me even more. So Disney, I hope that you make this show as good, if not better, than Muppet Vision 3D, because going into that space is going to be hard enough as it is, and then if that show is bad, that's even more disheartening. All right. So probably the biggest announcement we got was more details have been revealed for Villains Land rides at the Magic Kingdom. We now have we're going to have 2 rides in that park, or in that land. The first ride is going to be themed to Maleficent, and you're going to be racing through the Forbidden Mountain on this journey, and then the second ride is Disney has announced a boat ride. So the roller coaster is, like I said, themed to Maleficent, a high-speed roller coaster through the Forbidden Mountains. We don't know if there's going to be an audio animatronic of the dragon. Man, if that's gonna if Disney does that, then that would be spectacular. That would be fantastic. Again, we just have to wait and see. But man, if Disney does that, if Disney does make an audio animatronic of Maleficent in a dragon form, man, that coaster is going to be nuts. That coaster is going to be nuts. Now, we don't know how fast this coaster is going to be. We don't really know anything else other than the fact that it's themed to Maleficent, and we're going to be traveling through the Forbidden Mountains. That's all we know. We don't know anything else. But man, if they do build an audio animatronic of the dragon, I will lose it. I will lose it. Okay, I would be so excited. I would be so excited for that. But then the second ride will be a dark ride. So it's a boat ride. So it's going to be similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, Navi River Journey, Small World, something like that, where guests enter the Evil Queen's castle and go deep into the catacombs. The host is the Magic Mirror, who will take guests into his mystical mirror realm, where visions of favorite villains will be conjured. Special effects and show sets will contribute to a very theatrical attraction. Look, if there is anything that screams theatrical, it's the Disney villains. Okay? It is the Disney villains. And look, and we are, boat rides have a very high capacity. They have a high capacity. And this land, which is, the most anticipated land, probably coming to the Magic Kingdom, probably even more so than Cars, you're going to need that capacity. You are definitely going to need that capacity. So, having a big capacity boat ride, that's going to be fantastic. Now, we don't know, because it says that we're going to enter the Evil Queen's castle. So that's going to be one of the landmarks in the area, and we're going to go deep into the catacombs. So we don't know if that means that there's going to be like a drop, and we're going to drop down. I would like to have another. I know that we have flume rides already at the Magic Kingdom. We have Pirates. We have Tiana. But this, like Pirates, this would make sense. This would make sense to have you go down a drop and then you're below the Evil Queen's castle and you're in the catacombs. That would make sense to me. No, but I don't know. Are we actually going to go, underground, as it were? So many things, so many details are still, so many things we still don't know. But, so now obviously we can't go underneath, we can't go underground because Florida's water table wouldn't accommodate that. So we can't really go underground. But we might be traveling like something like Pirates, where we're going underneath the the railroad tracks of the Walt Disney World Railroad. But I don't know. Again, just reading way too much into this. But again, having a big capacity ride, like a boat ride, absolutely the right decision to go through. I hope that means that we get audio animatronics of Disney has released concept art, so they have Scar and Jafar and Cruella de Vil and the Evil Queen and Ursula. I am hoping that we get audio animatronic versions of these characters. I really hope that we get audio animatronic versions of these characters. That would be fantastic. That would be awesome. That would be awesome for Disney to build big audio animatronic versions of characters that we've never seen in audio animatronic form before. Now, we've seen Ursula. Okay, we've seen Ursula because she's in Under the Sea: Journey of the Little Mermaid. Okay, so we know what Ursula looks like, but having audio animatronics of like Maleficent or Jafar or the Evil Queen or Cruella de Vil, those are animatronics we have never seen before. So that would be spectacular. That would be fantastic. Look, I would go to Magic Kingdom just to go to Villain's Land. Okay, that's so. But Disney's Disney is, villains. That's why villains is taking so long, because one, they have to build everything from scratch because they're starting from a fresh plot of land. Okay, nothing was there to begin with, so they're starting with a fresh plot of land. So there's no reskinning attractions or anything. So they're starting from scratch. Okay, so that's why villains is going to be, a long way away. If I had to guess, maybe 2030 is when we would get villains, but we have we have no idea. I have no idea at this point. But I think, again, this is another one of those projects where Disney's like, okay, the bar is set really, really high. People know people have expectations, what they expect from a villain's land. So, and Disney also released the backstory as well for the villain's land. One day, someone made a evil wish into a wishing well. I wonder who that was. Spoiler alert: it was probably Maleficent. Okay, it's probably Maleficent. Made an evil wish into a wishing well. The wishing well overflowed with evil, and that's how the villains came to be at the Magic Kingdom. So, and then that's why you have villains. You have villains from all across the Disney universe. I really hope that they use ones that that we have never seen before here at Walt Disney World. I hope that they use villains like Madame Mim, or Madame Medusa, or Stromboli, or I hope that they've used villains like that. I really hope they use villains like that, because, man, having those classic villains mixed with the quote unquote new villains would be fantastic. That would be great. So, but again, that's we are far off from villains. That's going to be a long ways away. That's going to be way farther than Tropical Americas, or Monsters, or Monstropolis, or something like that. Where it's going to be in a couple years. This is going to take a long time. We're in 2026. We still have, if it is 2030, we still have 4 years to go. So it's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time before we get villains land at the Magic Kingdom. But there you are. Those are the D23 announcements that were announced for Walt Disney World. Now, I could have announced some things for Disneyland and the other parks as well. I don't go to those parks. I don't go to Disneyland or any of the other parks around the world. So I thought it's not really, it's not fair for me to, judge something that I am not there to see. Okay, it's not like here where I'm in Florida and I go to Walt Disney World all the time. So it's easier for me to talk about these things and tell you what I hate and what I don't like about them. Sometimes I do Disneyland's. Sometimes I do that, but I try not to do that, because again, that's not fair. That's not fair for me to talk about Disneyland's, stuff, and me saying, well, that's garbage or that's great, because it's like, I don't know, because I don't experience that. So, it's much easier for me to discuss what's happening here at Walt Disney World and what's going on here. So, But you guys will have to let me know. You'll have to let me know what you think. What are you excited for? What are you not excited for? I'm interested in hearing from you. But please don't make political statements like, rivers of America and blah blah blah, because that just that just gets everywhere. That gets everybody nowhere. So please don't, if you want, to have a discussion with stuff, we can definitely do that. We'll definitely have a discussion. But just calling each other names and saying you're stupid or you don't know what you're talking about and da 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 da, that just leads us nowhere. that just leads to nowhere, and it's just a bunch of headaches that we don't need. So but if you made it this far, thank you very much. Go get yourself some eye drops. I've talked for an hour straight, so that's why I got my Mountain Dew, my drink here. I talked for an hour straight. Please like this video. Subscribe to my channel for more content. If you're enjoying this honest review, you can join my Patreon at patreon.com/newswiththedisneydude. You can get early access to my show, this show, More Disney. More Disney usually comes out on Tuesdays, and then for my Patreon members, and then it's out for everybody on Fridays for everybody else. And I want to make a special shout out to all my Patreon members watching who help make this show and so many others that I do happen every single week. I thank you guys very much for watching this video. Look for the regular news later on this evening. Until then, y'all keep each other safe and healthy, and we'll see you real soon.